Hi everyone, it's Catharine MacIntosh with Listed, and it is a very special day today. I am at the lobby by Heaps Estrin with the president, CEO, and founder of Heaps Estrin.
Yes, hello.
Cailey Heaps.
Nice to see you, Catharine.
Thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to come to the podcast and hosting it in the lobby. This is a beautiful building.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a great evolution of our business, a nice extension of our brand. We picture the lobby as sort of the lifestyle extension of our brand.
Amazing. Now, you've had such a history. I want to just start by establishing for people, how did you get into real estate? How did all this evolve? And can you introduce us to Heaps Estrin?
Absolutely. So we moved to Toronto. This is like a long version of the story. We moved to Toronto when I was 10. My dad was coming to open Canada's first microbrewery, Upper Canada.
Wow.
And my mom, they had 4 kids. So my mom said she had to get a job to help pay the bills. And she had historically brokered real estate deals on park benches, playing with kids and saying, "Oh, Jane, I heard you want to move. And I just spoke to Sarah who wants to move." And she was putting people together organically. And then she realized she could monetize it. So in 1986, she got her real estate license and started as a sole practitioner in real estate and had immediate success because she was always driven by people. She didn't care about the money. She needed the money, but that wasn't her focus. It was always people. So she had great success. I hated her job. I hated everything about it. I always told her I hated her job.
Because you had no time with her.
Correct. I mean, I had time with her. I don't want to make it sound like I didn't, but it wasn't a job that I would have wanted at that stage.
Yeah.
And I would say that to her. I would say, why would you have a job where you don't have your weekends? You don't have your nights. You can't promise to be somewhere and then not show up. Anyway, I went on and I worked in the beer industry and I ran an events team and did fun things like opening night party for Cirque du Soleil. And I loved it. But I took time off between high school and university and realized I had to go back to university if I was going to have success. So I did a Bachelor of Commerce with a major in marketing and a minor in psychology.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting focus, and worked in advertising after that. And I liked advertising from a creative perspective, but I didn't like the lack of loyalty in the industry. There's a lot of moving between shops. And my mom was sinking in her world. She had built this incredible business, but it was too much work for one person. And she said, "Why don't you just come and be my assistant for a year? Well, we figure out a plan for me and you can figure out a plan for you."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, sure." And I think I made like $28,000 my first year as her unlicensed assistant. And at the end of the year, we sort of looked at each other and she said, "Okay, that went well. You obviously are good at this and I need more help. Why don't you go get your license and I'll bring you on as a salesperson." So that was around 2000. And it grew very organically from there. So until about I would say in 2010, there was probably 3 of us, my mom, myself, and our administrator.
And at that point, are you with another brokerage? Or?
We were always with Royal LePage.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And in 2010, I remember it was the first time our GCI, our gross commissions, broke $1 million.
Wow.
Since 2010, we've grown by about 2,100%. So we've grown pretty significantly in that time. And we now are a team of about 50 people. And again, it's always been very organic. Of course, there's strategy and vision attached to it, but it's never been, let's build this big business. It's always been, let's build to satisfy the demands and the needs of our clients. And then somewhere along the way, I'm pretty risk aggressive. I really believe in innovation. I believe in entrepreneurship, and I run the business that way. So we have, as a company, a very startup mindset. So we're constantly changing and growing and adding verticals, and that's where we've landed
adopting new
today.
technologies. Absolutely.
Yeah. So now it's, when I started, it was just Heather Heaps and Cailey Heaps, and then it was the Heaps team, and then ultimately was turned into the Heaps Estrin team about 10 years ago.
Yes, actually. I've always wondered, who's Estrin?
Well, that's a good question. I get asked that a lot.
Okay.
So Estrin was my ex-husband's last name.
Okay.
And when I got divorced, there was I had a meeting with brand consultants, and they said, "You can't really change it now. You have too much brand equity." And in my mind, my kids are Heaps Estrins. Right. So I'm okay with it. But we've heard it all because we used to be a predominantly female shop. So we used to get called Heaps of Estrogen. And I have people constantly saying, "Heaps what? Yeah. What?" So I'm Cailey Heaps legally, but the company is Heaps Estrin.
Wow, I love it. There's so much richness in your answer, from leadership and strategy technology and innovation. But I love that idea that your mother discovered the key to real estate, time and attention and relationships.
It's people.
It's people. Is that what's driven the growth that you and success you're having?
Absolutely. I mean, we have an internal saying at Heaps Estrin, people above all else, whether that's internally our team or externally our clients. There's nothing that matters more. You could have asked me historically as we were growing what I made in a year, and I had no idea. Now we're at a point where I have to know because we're responsible for so many people.
Exactly.
But it was never the money that was driving me. I really loved being part of and continue to love being part of people's outcomes. You know, if you can make a difference, if you can invest a few hours in negotiation and make a client an extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, that's the difference between their kid going to university, not going to university.
Right.
You know, an investment that changes their outcome. Like, it's really meaningful if you put it in those terms. And we're not saving lives. I don't pretend that we're doctors or anything of that nature, but we can change lives. And I think that if agents can live with that ethos and remember the importance of investing in their client, they'll always have success.
Well, and actually on that note, you know, you wouldn't have surgery or go to somebody who you didn't know was a qualified doctor. And I think the key for people having a great agent and working with a great team, or, you know, having this trust and relationship, is actually just in dollars and cents, how much better off they are at the end of the day when they're represented.
Yeah.
Have you?
Well, I think the way I think about it, and the doctor analogy is a good one, but the way I think about it is there's so many agents in our space who do 1 deal a year, 2 deals a year. You know, kudos to them for trying, but I'm not getting on an airplane with a pilot who flies once a year. Like, there's absolutely no chance.
That's a good
So
point.
if you want someone to handle your investment, you know, we're doing several transactions a day. We understand the dynamics of the market, and the market changes like instantly. And if an agent hasn't done a deal in 2 months, they have no idea what they're advising their clients.
Right.
So I think that's really important. And I'm obviously very studied about the market, not just locally, but internationally, because we have a global arm as well.
Yep.
And I think the market, and having a, you know, commerce degree, I obviously understand economics and all of these things. It's an investment. You know, like, we view ourselves as a company. We're a team of strategic advisors. We're not here to sell you anything. We're here to give you advice that will ultimately make you money.
Absolutely.
That's our job.
Absolutely.
End of story.
Okay, now just launching off that, I love your analogy of the pilot. No, I would not want to get on a plane with a pilot who flies once a year.
No.
Yeah. So on that note, it's very challenging for regular consumers to understand how the real estate market works. For example, Listed exists because I, as a consumer, was walking down the street, saw a little house, couldn't get in to see it, couldn't reach anyone. Yeah. Then I Googled it on my phone in front of the house, saw 5,000 people selling the same house.
Yeah,
so confusing. So as I got into it and realized like there needed to be a solution, I started to notice that other people also wanted to solve this, but they decided to solve it in a way where they could make money from the industry. So these other apps and whatnot came out that seemed like a benign app. So a consumer might just download this benign app, not realizing that.
Should we just call it what it is? House Sigma?
Well, you know what?
I actually love House Sigma.
We could.
But it has limitations.
And people don't realize that's just Toronto. If we went to Nova Scotia, we'd be saying Viewpoint. If we went to BC, we might be saying REW. If we went to the States, we might be saying Zillow. The point is that, you know, as an agent, when you join a brokerage like that, back to the pilot analogy, you're starting on a journey with a client with a half tank of gas. Because you can't get leads.
I always believe, you know, I'm not someone who will ever say anything negative about a competitor, despite the fact that they always do it about me. It's just not energy I want to put in the world.
Yeah.
The people who speak poorly about me, you know who you are, or the ones who copy everything we do. Yeah. But having said that, I think there's a space for everyone, but you have to know what you're getting. And I think that the difference, you have to know what you're getting. Yeah. I think the difference between the app that we just mentioned and some of these other ones and your app is that this app, Listed, is really built to better our business as agents and to better our client experience, where none of the others have that view. They're all about monetizing information that they don't own. Yeah. So I think that if people can look at it that way and understand the benefit to them, and I'm not an owner, by the way. There's some rumor that I own and Listed.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yet.
It goes with the jealousy
I'm
part.
just joking.
Yeah.
But I think that, everything that we do at Heaps Estrin, again, it's about people. How do we make this experience better for our clients? All of our clients have access to Listed if they want it.
Exactly.
It allows our agents to offer something that other agents can't offer.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's how we met, right? I was trying to better understand your business and understand what you were offering our industry. I think that our industry is fairly antiquated. I think that there's, I could go on for hours about the issues I see in our industry, but I won't. I think that there's a lack of innovation though. So to see someone who's pioneering change, it's great.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, for me, I wanted, like myself, that consumer to just be able to get a great agent. So it is important. It's an equal playing field. It's just important to know what you're getting. And so with Listed, we empower consumers to get the agent they want to work with, which brokerage agnostic, whichever brokerage they're with. And we actually solve something that hasn't been solved for MLSs, because you come up against some sort of technology that has all the listings, but when you use your own technology, not yours, but one that comes from, say, a single MLS, the technology of the MLS is not being applied at the level of the MLS. So we wanted to give the consumer all the inventory and the best technology through their own agent. Yeah. Because you would either have to buy, lease, or create yourself your own technology. And you're not going to build the plane you fly.
I don't see the value in that. Like, that's not where my time is best spent.
Right.
I think the other thing, as we think about clients and tech and all of these things, is I always look at what's easiest. If I'm going to look at a solution, what's easiest for my team while still providing value? What's easiest for our consumer while still providing value? What I like about the app is the ability to understand what our clients are interested in and communicate with them about it.
Yeah,
but my favorite thing about it is the exclusives. Right. So our industry, as you know, I mean, you obviously know because you had to pivot your entire business.
Yep.
But consumers might not know that we used to sell a lot of off-market listings, and we could do so pretty much however we wanted. We could cooperate, not cooperate. We could communicate about it, market it. We had free reign. Yep. That all changed. During COVID, I started a group, an off-market, sort of a online group to talk about exclusive listings. Actually,
that's what I wanted to set you up with, because actually I'm amazed as a technology person that someone without a tech background, you actually identified a technical issue in the market and you came up with a stopgap solution until you met us and we'd had a solution and solved that not only for yourself, but your colleagues. Can you introduce how that even occurred to you to do?
Absolutely. It was COVID. So it was, I guess, like Q2 2020. And we had clients who had to buy and sell real estate.
Right.
But it was, in my opinion, it was a sensitive time for people. We didn't want to look like we were trying to break rules by being out showing houses, selling houses when people were unfortunately losing their lives.
Yes.
So it was born of the need to serve our clients. We still had a legal obligation to them and a fiduciary duty to them to try and sell their properties and find them properties. But it was pretty distasteful to do so on a very public forum, which is typically how real estate is handled. So I started a WhatsApp group and started just adding the agents I was historically doing deals with.
Right.
There's a group of us who have sort of come up together in the industry and love each other, respect each other. And it sort of just took off. And we were doing, I would say during COVID, we were doing probably a third to half of our business through that network, as were a lot of other agents. We eventually moved from WhatsApp to Signal because of capacity issues and whatnot. And now I think we've outgrown Signal. So I just recently said to the Signal group, whoosh, we're going to move over to Listed.
Right.
It's way more user-friendly.
Yeah, it's compliant.
It's compliant, which is great. And quite frankly, I don't think the need for Signal is the same as what it was then. I think now we can use your platform for those people who choose to do exclusives, and it's a very effective way to do so.
Yeah.
But we don't need that secrecy and, the manners that were tied to the original ideology or the ideation of the WhatsApp Signal group.
Yep.
We no longer have that sensitivity in the public domain about COVID. Now it's a legal issue where we have to be compliant, and I can't possibly police 1,000 agents on Signal.
No, exactly.
So we're going to move over to Listed.
Yes, amazing. And actually it's the timing in a way is so nice because there's also a natural boundary to a Signal group, which is 1,000 people, I think.
Yeah, and there's a waiting list and I can't get these people in. And
Yeah,
it's so unlike me not to
ridiculous.
include people. So I feel badly that I can't let them in. But
And the other thing that's interesting is that you've been a leader in recognizing these kinds of technologies. And to your point, if you were a pilot, you're not also going to build the plane that you fly in. You're going to choose the best plane manufacturer to buy that plane and fly it.
Well, I think you raise an interesting point.
Yes.
Because a lot of real estate is driven by ego. A lot of agents are driven by ego. You won't see my face on any of our marketing. You won't. It's like the exact opposite of who I am. I want to see our team succeed. I take immense pleasure in watching our team succeed. In our group of top producing agents, our team is segmented. And in our group of top producing agents, a number of those people had never worked in real estate before, joining Heaps Estrin, and we've sort of trained them in the Heaps Estrin way.
Amazing.
But interestingly,
clean slate.
Yeah, interestingly, 2 of them started out as assistants to me.
Wow.
And are both just killing it. So I think, that ego piece with agents is really interesting. And I think, to your point is, I wouldn't build anything on my own for my team. I'll have ideas, I'll share them. But I think collaboration is absolutely the key to success.
Oh my gosh, I fully see that evidenced when I meet your team and I speak with them. And I want to come back to the exclusives, but I want to establish for people the way you treat clients is also the way you treat your team, which is why your team is so successful.
I treat everyone, to be honest.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
It's even the way we've related.
Yeah.
So can you just establish, I believe you serve all price points, but you are key in the luxury markets. Can you just talk about the people you serve and the areas you serve and that kind of difference between price points and clientele?
Absolutely. And I'll explain to you why I treat everyone the same though, because I think it's important.
Okay.
I was raised by entrepreneurs, and my father has a very, very humble background and said to us at a very young age, it doesn't matter whether it's the cleaning person or it's the president of the company, I expect you to treat them the exact same. Beautiful. And that has sort of lived in me as a human being from the day I was born. And going back to your question, hold on, let me reverse what you were just saying in my mind. Hold on just a second. Remind me, Catherine.
It's how you treat your team.
Oh, how I treat them. Yeah, how I treat the team. So I think, if you are the sum of the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely. So
I am very mindful. Some people say I fire too quickly. I don't think I do. If I see someone who isn't working to their full potential, then that tells me they're not happy. If someone shows up to work and they're not putting everything into it, it's because they're not enjoying what they're doing.
And you're doing them a favor.
Yeah, go find something you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, get out of here. Go, you'll find something that makes you happier.
Find what
And I'll find someone who makes me happier.
Exactly.
And then the world's a better place.
Yep.
So I'm very lucky that I show up to work every day and I'm in a building of people I love and respect. Because they wouldn't be there unless I did. So I really value that. And I think I don't mean to sound inhumane when I talk about firing people that way, but I really believe, because it's the way I feel, like I wake up every day wanting to be better, not just as a human, as a business. I want to see my team members get better. I want to see people who want to learn and change what they're doing every day. And if someone is complacent, it's a pretty sad state of affairs.
Actually, I see what you're doing, and it's an aspiring moving target, always going onward and upward. I absolutely love it. And I think that comes back to your philosophy of treating everyone equal and serving all price points.
Oh, serving all price points. That was a question. So, sorry. And I never forget a question. It's funny that I forgot that one. We do serve all price points. So the way that people live in Toronto is changing. Leasing is going to be a huge part of any market going forward. Not just from an affordability perspective, but also people's priorities have changed. The amount of money they want to spend on housing has changed as a percentage basis. So we do have a very robust leasing team. So we work every price point from, call it $1,000 a month, up to, I think the biggest deal we did was just shy of $40 million.
There you go.
So it's every price point. I would say what we're known for is probably, we're very fortunate. We dominate the Central Toronto market. We're number one in TREB for agents who sell in Toronto. And I say that not to be boastful, but I'm really proud of the fact that we're there, because it tells me that our clients are happy with what we're doing.
Exactly. I was going to ask you that. I wanted to see, where you sit, because You're at the top.
Yeah, we're number one in Toronto for for agents selling in Toronto.
Yeah.
We're number one in Canada for Royal LePage, which is about 25,000 agents.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the team. It's, it's not me, it's all of us. That's the other thing. People, assume that our success is born of 1 million other things. And yes, we're fortunate. I'm fortunate to be educated. I'm fortunate that I have a high risk tolerance. I have a lot of things to be grateful for. But fundamentally, success, in my opinion, is born of hard work. If you put in the hours, you're going to succeed.
So if I was to ask you what makes a great leader, I imagine a part of it is going to be how you grow your team.
Yeah, I mean, the people you surround yourself with, of course. I think risk tolerance is important.
Yep.
I think a desire to constantly be better and learn is important. Complacency, as I said, is like the death of all things.
Yeah.
And then I think you really have to, I really believe as humans, you fundamentally just have to be a good person. You have to treat people well. You have to want other people to do well. I don't sit around hoping for the worst for my competitors. Like, why would I ever put that energy out there?
Exactly.
And if you can't be a good person to people, at least don't be a shitty person to people.
Yeah.
Just be neutral.
Be neutral.
Yeah, but there are some people who are really shitty. But yeah, I would say I think that's important. I think that to lead, you really want to see other people succeed. It can't be just wanting to feel good about yourself.
Can I mention one of the things I see in you?
Yeah.
Okay. Not only do I see all kinds of great qualities that a leader should possess, like humility and, the ability to inspire and bring cohesion and cooperation to everybody, but I actually see it as a well-rounded approach. Like, you treat your own personal life as being fulfilled in the areas of family and, non-work related interests, keeping up on technology, arts, culture. Look at the lobby.
Yeah.
You're giving back to the arts and culture community here.
Yeah, I try to.
And you also are involved in charitable works.
A ton of it, yeah.
And can we just talk for a minute about that? Because I think that's a large part of what makes your success as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it goes back to being a good person. So I was brought into the art world, trying to think of how long ago, maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
My children were at a school called Children's Garden, which is a small little school in a church. And I volunteered to do the teacher appreciation dinner at the end of the year.
Okay.
And another couple who was there were Laurie and Kim. Kim Dorland is a prolific Canadian artist. I didn't really know him, but we instantly hit it off.
Oh, I love it.
And after that night, I went to his studio and bought, we had a social evening, and then I bought some of his work. And it just turned into this beautiful friendship. And that sort of led me down the path of wanting to understand art more and appreciate art more. And I said to Kim at one point, I feel very uneducated about art, but I know what I like. And he sort of said, that's what matters. Just know what you like. Anyway, so the lobby became a lifestyle extension of the Heaps Estrin team. And it was really about, I've been so fortunate in life to have opportunities that other people might not have. And you see that in the art world. If you're not picked up by a big gallery, it's sometimes hard to have your art on display, and how do you get storefront, and how do you get access to network of people who can afford the art? And so it became one of the pillars of the lobby is the art, and it's on. We have a curator, and the art is on a rotation every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the time of the year. And then we also have a retail component, which features, I was going to say local artisans, but it's actually global.
Amazing.
Artisans of products that we like, that we would use in our own homes. And then we have an event space to educate. It's events for fun, but also to educate people about real estate and all things related to real estate. And then there's a real estate office as well. So it's sort of everything, and a concierge desk.
And it's in the heart of downtown Toronto in a great neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect example of my approach to business in many ways, is I had no business plan or intention of opening another location. But what used to sit here was one of my favorite stores, Hops and Grace, and it's still a fabulous store. And I saw them post to social that they were moving. And I went, oh my God, they're leaving that location. It's the only location in Toronto that I would take. I absolutely love the location.
And the good energy is here.
Yeah. And so I called the landlord who I met who I knew, because he used to own an ice cream shop that my kids would go to. And I came and I talked to Jay and I said, I don't really have a business plan, but I own a real estate company and I'll figure it out. So we signed the lease. It's like the most expensive price per square foot lease in all of Canada, I think. The lobby is not a money-making business, to be very clear. It
depends what your purpose and passion is.
Yeah, I mean, we view it as the opportunity for someone to experience our brand without committing to us. They can come in and meet people who work here. They can get a sense of who we are. And it gives visibility to the brand, of course, as well. So the lobby is one of our verticals. Obviously, Heaps Estrin is our primary vertical.
I mean, I saw happy, shiny people.
Yeah, that's Hailey. This is Hailey's work behind us.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, the brand has evolved. Like Heaps Estrin as a real estate business is obviously our primary business. But as an extension of that, I'm in a group called YPO, Young Presidents Organization.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And one of my YPO friends, actually he was a friend before YPO, but neither here nor there. He said to me, with your business sense and the business you've built and with your network, why aren't you selling real estate internationally? You should. And I travel a lot and I grew up spending a lot of time in the Caribbean. So, because my parents worked there. So long story short, we launched HET Global in January of 2024. And that's been a really interesting, thank you. It's been a really interesting exercise. It is a money-making business. And we have these amazing relationships with agents throughout the world now. So I was just in Croatia looking at some projects there. My son now lives in Hawaii, which is why I wear my little palm tree. Amazing. So I was looking at and meeting with developers there. So it's just, I have an interest in real estate, obviously because of the architectural and design component, but also as connection to place. Like, how do people relate to place? I'm someone who's very, very reactive to space, and light and location and, all of these things. So when I'm touring around looking, I'm sort of considering projects based on place, of course, people. I'm back to people.
Yeah.
Product. What is it? Is it something I want to put my name on or not? And price. Do I think that it's positioned properly for the market? Is it a product I would sell to a client as an investment? And then we have a few more verticals that we'll be launching in the coming year or two, which are quite different than what we're doing now, actually, but are pretty exciting.
I'm really seeing the balance between your commerce and psychology and the relationships kind of all come together. And I love that you got philosophical about it, because one of my favorite books is The Poetics of Space by Gaston Bachelard that talks about, a home is like a shell, and just how where you live is who you are in a way, and just how important that is.
We have an unconventional family, right? I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids. I'm down to 1 at home. And our house has always been, I shouldn't say that, since I became a single mom, which was a difficult decision, of course, but the right one. Our house became, our concept of family changed. And my kids have articulated that many times, that, how they viewed our family 10 years ago is very different than how they view it now.
Have you become closer?
We are like the tightest little crew. Yeah. And I'm close to their friends too. But they say that because their idea of who their uncle is different than, of course we still have our biological family who we love and adore. But a number of very close male friends in my life showed up to be positive male role models for my children.
Wonderful.
And those men particularly are people I view as family and they view as family. And when I look back to my daughter's 16th birthday party as an example, she invited all of those people as her guests.
Amazing.
And of course their wives and their children become part of the family. So we have this very rich fabric that we're incredibly fortunate to have. We all have a very high threshold for fun.
I see that in your Instagram and social posts.
Oh yeah, we're lunatics, but we have a lot of fun. Whether it's, we were just surfing. We took my son to drop him at school. We're all surfing. We're all, climbing up waterfalls. And we have a really good life. We're very fortunate.
Now I want to come back to the local global idea for a moment, because I think when we first met and I was showing you listed, everything grows. I too am always aspiring to what's the next best thing. And our vision is that you as an agent and agents' clients could be standing anywhere in the world, tap a button and see the property come up in front of them, learn about it, and be connected to their own agent who they have a relationship with and they trust. And then you as agents would be connected in a global network where you could easily reach others. So I love that you are connecting in all these different countries, because that's only going to help us along. But, is that idea of, just client-centered real estate where you're the center of their real estate universe to make it lighter and easier and help them in their success?
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's for everyone, is my answer. I don't think a lot of agents would have I'm not saying this to be critical. I just think that it takes years and years and years of traveling and understanding sort of the geopolitical scene in countries, understanding the socioeconomics.
Yeah,
You can't just fly into Florida and say, this is a good purchase. Like, that's not how that works.
exactly.
So, it's easy and it's fun, but it's not there's a magnitude to these decisions that people are making. And the way that we view people's real estate is as a portfolio, it's an asset.
Excellent.
So if we're advising on it, it's not a light decision. It takes a lot of thought and research. So to answer your question, do I think that this is a direction or a possibility of others doing? No, not really. I don't. I think there's other people who can do it, but I think it's a small percentage of agents. I think the app will connect us on a local, within our boards.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
On a global level,
Yeah.
you would be connected with those top 1% few people who are the expert in those neighborhoods.
Yes, and I
through
am.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I am. And it would be great to have an app where I could connect with them, through an app as opposed to phone calls.
And it just digitally records everything for you, so it
Yeah.
makes it easier and more
I
efficient.
mean, that would be brilliant. So one of the groups I'm part of is called Métier Maison. It's out of California. It was founded by this amazing agent, Kaki, who's based in California. And she approached me and said, I've done some research. You're our chosen Toronto agent.
Great.
And the network is phenomenal. It's the
Wow.
best agents throughout the world. And we have weekly phone calls. We have, we ideate. We talk about what's happening. Toronto, as much as we talk about being a global city, there are fundamentally some issues that prevent us from being a truly global city.
We're getting there, but yes.
Yeah, our political system needs a whole lot of help before that can happen. Because right now what we're telling people through our policies is we don't want you.
Yeah.
We don't want your money. You're not allowed to buy real estate here. We're going to tax the hell out of you.
Yeah.
So, and we also, have tax policy that discourages people from opening businesses here.
Yeah.
So to say we're a global city is not accurate.
Okay, for people who understand when they want to buy a new product or do something, they Google it or they get reviews. To me, the best way to tell how amazing you are and your team isn't, of course, from you. It's from these sort of reviews. And I think the best review is when, the press and the world come to the top person to ask them something. So you're quite often in the news.
Yeah.
You're quite often featured. I think prior to us showing up, you were actually being interviewed by a magazine.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you how that evolved, that you're the go-to person for a lot of what's requested in the world in the media.
The issue is I don't have a great filter, and the media likes that.
Oh, wow.
So,
you say it like it is.
Yeah, the media appreciates honesty. So
Yeah.
a lot of agents will say what they think their client wants them to say. So it circulates throughout the media. I just tell it like it is. I'm well-researched, so I think they can rely on what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put them in a position where they're getting stuck publishing something that's not accurate.
Right.
So I think that's probably how I landed there. And, it's all relationships. Again, if you treat people well. So my son is particularly bright, and all of my children are, but this relates to my son. So he'll go into a conversation wanting to make a point. And I've said to him a million times, that's not at all what your objective should be. What you focus on is how that person feels when they leave the conversation. And that's all that matters. Don't worry about winning. You don't have to win. Just make them feel good about themselves. And I think that getting to that piece about the media is I'll always give the media my time. I'm never dismissive or condescending. I don't criticize the media. So therefore, I think they're happy to talk to me.
Thank you. Yes, they're out there as translators, and they need an accurate translation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'd like to come back to you serving all price points, because it is not easy to serve the luxury market, and you are really a leader in the luxury market in Toronto and globally.
Yeah.
So when you're serving that market, one of the challenges that happens is that as the price point goes up, there's actually a lot fewer people who could actually purchase a home, because you're majorly a listing agent.
Yeah.
And so there's also certain parameters that become difficult in terms of privacy, security, etc., which is one of the reasons that, say, off-market or exclusive listings can be positive. And it's one of the reasons you embraced Listed, because we have this compliant network. So can you just first talk to us a little bit about the needs of that market, and then we'll come back to the technology?
Sure. I mean, I'm going to repeat myself, but I think people want to be treated well. They want to be treated with honesty. They don't want to be sold something. We're here to advise people. We're not here to sell.
Yeah.
I think discretion is really important. You know, we live in an industry or in a world where people treat gossip as currency. And it's the saddest thing. It demeans people. And I see people doing it and I think, what are you doing? It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I think that if you can operate in a way where people know that they're going to be respected and treated fairly, that you're not going to treat their lives as currency. And at the end of the day, you know, what you want in every deal is for everyone to feel good. So not just your client, you want everyone to feel good. So I think that that's really important in the luxury segment.
It's interesting that's equalizing, whether it's your $1,000 lease or your $40 million property.
We're all humans.
We're
we
all
have basic
human.
needs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think where I've had success in luxury is, first of all, the marketing piece. I think that we've led. I do think that Heaps Estrin, and it's not just me, our team has changed the way that real estate is marketed. Now a lot of people are following suit, and that's fine, but we were sort of at the forefront of the change within that. So I think marketing is important, but I think it's also, you know, that people first mentality. I think people feel that. And they want, you know, they feel respected. They know. I never want to do a deal where I see that client at a grocery store in a month and I can't look them in the eye. You know, like, what a horrible feeling. So
exactly.
I want to make sure that everyone knows they've been treated with honesty. And there's a lot of agents, unfortunately, who are more focused on winning, and the moral lines get blurry. I mean, there's one or two agents in particular who I know when I go into a deal with them, I know I'm being lied to. I just know it. I can't trust a word they're going to say. So I think that when we're looking at our market and how we're different, is our entire team shares my ethos of transparency and fairness.
I love it. Actually, I was having a coffee prior to coming over here, and I looked up and I saw transitions over transactions.
Yeah.
And I just feel that at every point that I touch the Heaps Estrin brand, your ideas, your values, your philosophy is being confirmed and cemented.
I hope so. I mean, that's what
beautiful.
we want, is for
Very
people to
thoughtful.
understand who we are. Yeah, so we're here for transitions, not just transactions. And it's true. The number of times I give people advice that does not make me $1, in fact, probably cost me money, it's okay. It all turns into something in the future, you know?
Because a transition is in motion. You know, a raging river is so great because it's in flow, it's in motion. Something that's stagnant.
It's great until you get stuck in it.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, you probably have been in the White Rapids and
Yeah,
whatnot.
a few times. Yeah.
Okay, I would like to just bring us back to your leadership in the area of recognizing bleeding edge technologies.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as you love Listed, if something better came along, you'd take that, right? And that's great. That's what we want. We always want to be the tallest poppy.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking just prior to this interview about some of the things that you like and that we've come up with that are really bleeding edge.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is...
I've never heard bleeding edge
Oh
before.
yeah, there's cutting edge and then there's the bleeding edge.
Okay. I'm like, wow. I was thinking leading
That's
edge.
like, but
Yeah.
leading.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that when the Realtor Cooperation Policy came out, we agree with it in terms of the spirit should be that all listings wherever possible go to the MLS. And I'm sure most people would agree with that. But
I believe that owners, sellers should control
should
their
have
asset.
choice. Should have choice. But the policy didn't leave room for serving those that needed another choice. Hence, Listed came in with Broker List. It's exclusive and coming soon network. So one of the things that we've coined is demand intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So now as the listing agent, you can give privacy, security, confirmation of the ownership of your client's data on a platform that they own their own data through agency of the brokerage through their agent, right? Confidence. And what was challenging before is that if you had this listing that you, on the one hand, need exposure for, but on the other hand, can't get exposure for, what do? So demand intelligence is a way to use artificial intelligence to reverse search. We know what everyone is looking for. So we match the demand with the existing supply.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be a landscape where, for example, if there were listings on the landscape, we don't see them, they're invisible. And we take that demand and serve it back to you as the listing agent. So in your case, that's so important because you have so much of the inventory that's off.
Control of the inventory.
Control of the inventory. So now you actually have the benefit of knowing all the agents, even if it is some new agent who's never done it, to a seasoned agent that you'd already be thinking to send it to. Listed delivers the demand intelligence to you, and then you decide, do I want to send it to that person in a direct one-to-one communication or not? And then you have also a recorded sent and received listing section in Listed. So this has evolved by coming up to the constant obstacles. I know when we first met, it was nowhere near this. Yeah. And we keep pivoting.
Well, the landscape has changed, right? I mean, like everything in life, you have to adjust to change. And I think that Listed has done that to adjust to the change in the laws.
And a lot of that couldn't have happened without continuous feedback from you, and particularly some of the great members on your team, Catharine MacIntosh, for one.
Amazing, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have done a great job adjusting to the landscape, and it will continue to change, and I'm sure that you'll have to continue to change the platform.
Yeah.
But what you've provided is something that doesn't exist in the marketplace. And what I built, that WhatsApp then Signal group, it doesn't work anymore in that format. I can't police 1,000 agents, nor do I want to. It's not who I am as a human being. It's not how I want to spend my time. So I think that there's definitely a need for it. And now it's, the biggest thing I find with humans is change management is very difficult to get people to change their behaviors.
Absolutely.
So good luck getting everyone on Listed. I'll help you. But I think
as they see it helps them.
Yeah.
I think they'll be
money. I mean, I think that if people can see that it's going to make their jobs easier and make them money, it's a no-brainer.
It's another reason we made the exclusive and coming soon network absolutely free. We have a Listed premium version, of course, but if they just want access to the exclusive and coming soon listings, we wanted it to be accessible so that consumers who are represented by an agent are never limited in the inventory if the listing agent does want to share it with them.
Of course, yeah. I know every agent should want to share it. Yeah. Let's be honest,
There are two things I really am excited to bring up. One is what can you say or suggest in terms of bringing confidence to perhaps these other CEOs that aren't entirely as versant with new technologies and maybe a little less risk adverse than you in terms of, you've done your due diligence to make sure that, this is something that's compliant, and bringing confidence to them to be able to just recognize a great technology and advancement when they see it. So that's number one. But number two, and I think it's going to lead to answering number one.
Okay.
Number two, I want to ask you is, this policy came about based on the NAR policy in the US and, cooperation and what's changing there. And it came out from the boards and our association, the Canadian Real Estate Association. And what I'm very excited about is to have CREA and the boards love and accept Listed's exclusive and coming soon network, because we are actually able to provide them back a two-way anonymized data feed so they can actually remain the source of truth for real estate data of all kinds in an anonymized way for privacy, of course. But now they can actually provide their members with what is happening in an area because they'll have all the on and off market listing statistics. And I think even if another entrant comes into the market besides Listed, that should be a prerequisite that it works with organized real estate. We've always worked, it's in our mission to support consumers through organized real estate through the agent. So what do you want to share with us on either of those 2 points?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you will have an uphill battle within the real estate industry because it's not known to be progressive. I look at the brokerage model is fundamentally broken in Canada. I think you know that.
Yeah.
Where we've had success is we're not a brokerage, we're a team.
Within a great brokerage.
And we feed our team, that's how it works. And our team feeds us. It's a two-way street. So I think that adaptation to change and people wanting to innovate within the real estate sector is is not what we're known for within the typical brokerage model.
Right.
So good luck to you on that one. It will happen. It's just the agents will have to. It will be pushed through the agents as opposed to top down. It'll be bottom up.
It's going to be bottom up. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. I think that's key.
Yeah. And then I think when you look at Trev and you look at Korea, I sort of feel like shame on you. They have a huge membership. I think one of the biggest memberships in North America. They can't innovate to save themselves. I mean, it's ridiculous if you ask me.
Yeah.
And they're run by people who don't like change, who want to control information. And you know what? No. Like, I think that to be at the forefront of any industry, you have to take risk. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. And they're not. So they've had the opportunity. They could have done this.
Yeah.
They chose not to.
You know what's so interesting is that my greatest struggle is not overcoming them. It's helping them. My greatest struggle is helping them.
Do you think they're going to listen to you? Have they listened to you?
Every year at the council.
Let's be honest.
Every year at CMLS, I run into John DeMichel, and he's always seeking innovation, and he's helped me learn the multiple behind-the-scenes challenges that he faces. We look at the directors.
I don't know anyone personally, by the way.
Yeah.
When I'm speaking about Korea and MLS and Trev, I don't know anyone personally. This isn't a personal attack.
Yeah.
I'm just saying fundamentally, their approach is antiquated and fear-based. You're never going to succeed if you lead through fear, ever.
And at an individual level, I think it's very hard for an individual, even the CEO of a board, to make an impact when it is so distributed in terms of its rules and regulations. Like, for example, the directors.
So change it.
Yeah, change it.
You're hired to lead. Change it.
Change it.
Stop blaming everyone else. Stop blaming bureaucracy. Change it. I don't know. I think that people are way too complacent. It's infuriating. Life is so short. And if you wake up and see a problem, fix it.
Exactly.
If you see something that can be done better at your office, put your hand up and say something. Or don't even put your hand up. Just say, here's my plan. This is what I want to change. I don't know. I think that I think it's really sad, actually, that we've raised people of all ages. This isn't a generational attack. Who they just want to get through life. They just want to wake up. They just want to go to bed. They just want to wake up. They just want to go to bed. How boring.
I know.
If I have a day in my life that doesn't feel exceptional in some way, I'm kind of disappointed. And it doesn't have to be big things. It can be a great game of tennis. It can be an amazing workout. It can be a great conversation with someone. It can be a great trip. Mm-hmm. When I say exceptional, it doesn't necessarily tie to spending money, making money, or anything of that nature, but just do something every day that keeps you alive and engaged. This whole hamster wheel approach to life it would kill me. I would actually not be able to function.
It's so funny because it reminds me of a book, Who Ate My Cheese or Who Took My Cheese? And the whole point is that there's these little mice and they just want to have all the cheese, but like not actually get better. And they want to go to the same place to get the same cheese forever. But one day the cheese runs out and nobody's willing to go look in a new place or expand or grow or see what their life is. And I really think here that it's the beautiful thing about life. It's adapt or die. I mean, God to me is grow or die.
Yeah. And I would say I've been very fortunate because I don't have that mindset. It makes success easier because very few people do have that. It's not like I'm competing with an entire world of people. It's funny. I was speaking to one of my agents. I won't name them. And we were talking about someone. I said, I just don't think they get it. Like, I've explained it a lot of times and I don't think they get it. And she said to me, Cailey, can you imagine a world where everyone was equally smart? And I thought, okay, that's a really good point.
That is very interesting.
The world needs people of all skills and abilities. And it's incumbent on those people who perhaps have a greater understanding of one subject matter. I'm not saying that I'm certainly not saying I'm smarter than anyone. But if I know something about a thing and that person doesn't know something about that thing, then it's my job to share it with them and try and get them to understand it.
Yes.
And likewise, there's lots of things I don't know about. So in fact, I was at a dinner last night and this absolutely incredible human named Shiv was talking about, he originally grew up in India. He emigrated to Canada in the 60s. And his ideologies, he's raised incredibly beautiful and successful children. And fundamentally, it was all just about being a good person and leaving the world a little bit better than how you found it. And it's so simple, but if we all adapted that thinking, whether it's through how we treat humans, how we treat our businesses, how we treat our own bodies, there's so many things that would be better if we could just embody that.
Actually, it's one of the things I most enjoy about you is I think with other people who are doing great things and living their life in a way that's inspiring and makes one want to aspire to, we become each other's mirror.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can create a great technology. I see you're amazing in real estate. And this conversation makes us each better because we bring to the table this insane desire to go to the nth, to make it better, to grow, to learn. And part of that is gratitude and appreciation for what we already have.
Yeah.
So it can come from that foundational view.
It's lack of fear again. If you have a full life, it's difficult for me to fear a decision because I know I have something solid to fall back on, whether I've built it, whether it's been given to me. We can discuss that until the cows come home. But I think that you're absolutely right. To be able to take risk, you either have to have a very solid foundation or you have to have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And the in-between is where it gets difficult.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So on that note, because no one is more solidly founded than a real estate board, and this is part of the challenge, the FANG companies, Facebook, Apple, Google, Amazon, they have not been able to penetrate into real estate, but with all the things, it's a matter of time in a way that it's just going to change because the current model is not serving the one group of people that we exist to serve, which is the consumer. So
I agree.
I have it as our mission that organized real estate becomes aligned with the consumer so that in concert, consumers can be served professionally with experts. And the reason the real estate board, I believe, is our greatest technology and needs to exist and maintain itself is because they do provide us accurate, reliable data, which is very hard to do. Otherwise, it's a Facebook marketplace of, does that really even exist?
No,
and
I agree.
Who's going to show up?
The data is important. Where I struggle with our boards is their lack of innovation, their lack of transparency, lack of open communication. I could go on, but I won't. And I think that the issue that we have in real estate is fundamentally the barrier to entry is low.
Yeah.
There was this mindset of guarding information. I'm the exact opposite. I think, information is power. Everyone should have equal access to information. And I think that we've created a model where if consumers don't feel value, of course they're going to question what they're spending. They
Absolutely.
should. And I would.
Yeah.
So it's incumbent upon us as agents and team leaders, if your model isn't adding value, then fix your model. Really commission becomes an issue in the absence of value.
Absolutely. So, we were talking earlier about how you're constantly evolving and adopting new technologies, including AI. And I know you've integrated that already separate from listed, like in a lot of what you do on a regular basis, probably in your life as well, but also in your business.
Not in my life, but in my business.
But in your business for sure. And so one of the key things that I think people don't understand is that any technology should extend the human. It is about the relationship. A great technology is actually invisible because if it's not bringing us closer to our goal, what is the point of it? So listed exists as a relationship amplifier. If you get an alert, property back on the market or that's sold, and you connect between your client and you on that, it keeps agents and clients connected to the market and each other.
But it's only because it's adding value.
It's adding
fundamentally,
value.
It's just value. And I think that's actually an interesting, in real estate, there's this whole commission conversation, which is a conversation I'm always happy to have.
Yeah.
Because if an agent can't more than offset the cost of being at the table, they shouldn't be at the table.
Exactly.
It's very simple. So when people say to me, oh, you charge 5% and you don't discount, I think, do you want to pay someone $10,000 commission and it costs you $200,000 in negotiation?
Exactly.
That math seems pretty bad to me.
Absolutely.
So I think, much like your services that Listed provides, whether it's the free account or the premium account.
And it's always free for consumers.
Yeah.
It's just for agents, free and premium.
Yeah, it's just, does it add value? And if it adds value, then there's no real cost.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the key things is that the whole reason we even made it to support organized real estate, which I should say is that in my own experience, I knew I needed, when I saw this little house and I wanted to buy it, I needed help.
And transparency.
And trust.
Information.
And one person. I didn't want to go to 5 different people and be repeating myself about who I was and what I needed. And so I recognize that consumers have an easy, joyful experience when they're well represented. So our goal at Listed is to show the value
Mm-hmm.
of an agent, to help amplify an agent's ability to constantly be showing the value that they have, because I don't think it's easy for consumers to see, with all the opacity in the real estate market, the true value and how much money a full commission amazing realtor will save them.
Without question. I mean, we're known in the industry as being a bit of a fixer. So oftentimes when people can't sell with another brokerage, they'll bring us in to sell the property. We don't typically change price. We typically reposition it, remarket it, and then go to market. And 9 times out of 10, we'll sell at or above the previous price. So I think, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for a result.
So my hearing here, don't go that whole route to start with. Just come to you initially, and then you don't have to fix anything because you can do it right from the beginning.
Sometimes people like to take time making decisions, but that's up to the consumer. I always say, if someone doesn't hire me and they hire X and X, we probably weren't the right fit anyway.
Right.
So, we're fortunate. Our business is pretty successful. Last year we did over 800 million in transactional volume.
Yeah.
Our goal this year is $1 billion. We're well on track to do so. There's not a deal in the world I'm going to risk my reputation for. I recently actually had a client. It's the first time probably in over a decade where someone said to me, I'm representing the seller, and I won't ever double-end a deal. It's very difficult, in my opinion, to represent both properties properly.
Yep.
Or both parties properly. And anyway, someone came through the property who wanted me to, and I said I wouldn't. And it became this whole conversation. And I said, fundamentally, it's not worth it to me. Yes, this is a high-value transaction. But then I have a seller who's always questioning my integrity, whether it was the right decision. So I make an extra, X amount of dollars. It's a lot of dollars. It's a luxury property.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It's fundamentally not worth it.
That is so beautiful. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And actually, that's our philosophy. Listed is not a brokerage.
Yeah.
We're not tied to a specific MLS.
Which House Sigma we talked about earlier
is a brokerage.
It's a brokerage now.
Yeah. So we're not a brokerage. We never intend to be a brokerage. And the one thing that we don't do is we cannot and don't make any money from ever connecting a consumer and their agent.
Yeah.
We basically structured it so that we never prosper by somebody being connected or something happening. Agents pay for the premium version, or they use the free version.
Clients are free. Yeah.
Clients are free. And we just imagined that if we took any sort of gain, personal gain of Listed to be out, agents trust us, consumers trust us, we're trustworthy. We cannot take a referral fee.
Well, I think that's required, for anyone that we would partner with in our business. I'm going through in my mind our suppliers.
Yeah.
I have to be able to look them in the eye and know that I'm getting the straight goods.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I just can't engage. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And to go back to AIing, so I didn't AI my personal life. We AI'd our business. So we, never at the expense of people, but we hired an outside AI firm to look at each of our processes. And they've, they're embarking on a pretty major journey in September. And it's all about creating efficiency so that people can continue to spend time on what they're good at.
Yeah.
And let's take away the stuff that no one really wants to be doing. AI it. It will never be client facing. It will always be internal. Yeah. No one's going to lose their job. It's not about getting rid of humans. But I think that's sort of the type of thing that we have to look at is, if you want to build a team of strength, you have to look at allowing people to exist in their strength. Of course, there's going to be days where they have to do things they don't want to do. But figure out what your strength is and focus there. And I think that's what Listed has done. I think that's what Heaps Estrin has done. But I think it's a really important exercise that a lot of people don't do. And actually, Kat recently said to me, Cailey, sorry, I injured myself surfing, so I have a sore hamstring. Kat recently said to me, if you look at your days, where do you want to spend your time? And I thought, oh my God, no one's asked me that in a long time. And it really created a lot of thought. Because I obviously love interacting with our clients, of course. But when I look at also working on strategy and marketing and working through finances, so this is what I know about myself. I don't really love creating a process. I don't really want to live in that space. I'm happy to review a process. I love communication. I love writing. I'm happy to talk to people. Although I'm not a huge phone person, interestingly. And if I could choose, strategy, growth, and marketing are probably my 3 favorite things. I love change. I live for change. Yeah.
This is fantastic. Well, I got the 5-minute signal more than
Oh,
5
God.
minutes ago. So what I want to do is
Tell Cailey to stop
just
talking now.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for coming, and ask if there's any last thing you would like to leave us with, ask me, say to the world.
No, I mean, I would just say to you, on a personal note, it's nice to see someone taking risk. And I hope that Listed is a huge success. It should be based on what I've seen.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.